Something small happens. A stranger holds the door a second too long. A coworker says, "Thank you," like they actually mean it. A song hits one particular chord, and before you've even registered why, your eyes are already stinging. You blink it back. You look away. You make a joke about allergies that fools absolutely no one, least of all you. If this happens to you far more than it seems to happen to anyone else in the room, this isn't a lack of self-control, it's a pattern. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where it came from. You're in a meeting. Someone's voice sharpens for half a second, not even directed at you, and your throat tightens before your brain has even finished processing what was said. Or someone says something quietly kind, something small, something they'll probably forget in 5 minutes. And you're the one blinking hard at your desk, hoping nobody looks over. Or you watch a stranger reunite with their dog in an airport, and you have to physically look away from a screen full of people who feel nothing. Meanwhile, the room moves on without you. Nobody else seems to have registered any of it. Just you, doing quiet math on how to explain a face that's already given you away. Here's what's strange about this. It's not happening to people who feel less than everyone else in the room. It's happening to people who are picking up more tone, more shift, more of what's actually underneath what's being said out loud. The problem isn't an oversized reaction to a small thing. It's that the thing was never actually small to you. Your system registered more information than the room gave anyone credit for containing. So if this is you, it's worth asking why. Because you weren't born deciding to be like this. Somewhere, your nervous system got calibrated to catch more than most people's, and it's still running that same calibration now, years later, in rooms that don't remotely feel dangerous. Block 1, where it comes from. For a lot of people who cry easily, the wiring was there from the very beginning, not from one bad event, but from a nervous system that came into the world already tuned to register more per second than average. Psychologists Elaine and Arthur Aron, who spent decades researching this trait, estimate it shows up in roughly 1 in 5 people. It's a real, measurable difference in how deeply the brain processes sensory and emotional information. Not a personality quirk, not a phase, not something you talked yourself into. For some people, that baseline sensitivity also got reinforced early by environment. Growing up around a parent whose mood could shift without warning, where noticing the smallest signal, a tightened jaw, a change in tone, a door closing slightly harder than usual, actually mattered for staying safe. In a house like that, picking up on more wasn't a flaw. It was useful. It was survival-relevant information, and your nervous system got very good, very early, at collecting it. Either way, inherited, reinforced, or both, you ended up with a system that takes in more of the room than most people's do. Nobody sat you down and explained this to you. You just grew up already running it. Block 2, the nervous system. Here's the part that isn't about mindset. It's about hardware. Most brains have something like a bouncer at the door of attention, quietly filtering out low-priority information before it ever reaches conscious awareness. Researchers call the strength of that filter latent inhibition. When it runs lower than average, less gets screened out. More gets let in, more tone, more micro-expression, more of what's happening underneath the surface of an ordinary conversation. That's not a malfunction. It means your system is processing a higher volume of input, in real time, with roughly the same nervous system bandwidth everyone else has. And crying, in this context, was never the emotion getting too big. It's closer to a release valve for a system that's momentarily taken in more than it can hold without discharging some of it. The tears aren't proof you're overreacting to what happened. They're proof your bandwidth just got full. Block 3. The culture of toughening up. And the world around you doesn't exactly account for any of this. It tells you to manage it. You're taught early and often that a full release valve is a character flaw. Don't be so sensitive. Toughen up. You're too much. As if the correct response to taking in more of the world is to simply take in less of it. Like that's a setting you can just turn down at will. So a lot of people with this wiring spend years trying to suppress the valve instead of understanding it, which doesn't lower how much is coming in. It just delays the release until it comes out anyway, later, over something smaller, in a moment that makes even less sense to whoever's watching. The paradox. And here's the part almost nobody tells you. Crying easily was never the sign of losing control. Most of the time, it's the sign of the most accurate read in the room. You were the one who caught the shift in tone, the thing underneath the polite words, the mood nobody else clocked until much later, if they clocked it at all. The people who never seem to cry aren't processing less because they're stronger. A lot of them are taking in just as much. They've simply gotten better at holding the valve shut a little longer. That doesn't mean nothing's there. It means the cost is being paid somewhere you can't see it, in a place that isn't their face. Which means the thing you've spent years quietly apologizing for, noticing too much, feeling it too fast, is very often the exact same trait that makes you the person people come to when something's actually wrong. So what actually helps here isn't training yourself to stop crying. That just stacks a second problem, shame, directly on top of a system that was already at capacity. What actually shifts things is smaller than that. It's treating the tears as information instead of malfunction. Noticing what just came in instead of bracing hard against your own reaction to it. The valve tends to close faster the moment you stop fighting it for opening at all. Nobody ever needed you to feel less. They needed you to stop treating an accurate nervous system like something you owed the room an apology for. You were never crying too easily. You were only ever feeling things exactly on time, in a body that never learned it was allowed to.